Before it was a global phenomenon, a record-breaking film series, and a childhood touchstone for millions, Harry Potter was just an idea. A flash of inspiration on a delayed train. The story of the boy who lived is well known, but the story of the woman who created him, J.K. Rowling, is an equally magical tale of perseverance, struggle, and a dream that refused to die. We're not just tracing the timeline, we're delving into the decisions, the personal turmoil, and the creative vision that turned a single manuscript into the biggest literary franchise in history. This comprehensive account will explore the meticulous planning that underpinned the saga, the obstacles of publication, and the critical demands that shaped the film adaptation, and the massive multimedia expansion that followed. From a napkin sketch to the wizarding world, this is the definitive, detailed history of the creation of Harry Potter. The genesis of the wizarding world is a moment of pure serendipity. The year was 1990, and Joanne Rowling was on a crowded, delayed train from Manchester to London King's Cross when, as she describes it, the entire idea for a boy wizard named Harry Potter suddenly fell into her head. She didn't have a pen, a writer's worst nightmare, so for 4 hours, she just sat and built the world in her mind, Hogwarts, the key characters, the rules of magic, and the central 7-book arc of Harry's struggle against Lord Voldemort. She later noted that she had never felt such a huge rush of excitement and knew immediately that the story would be immensely fun to write. The 5 years that followed, however, were anything but fun. While she was outlining the 7-book series, Rowling suffered a series of immense personal losses and financial setbacks. Her mother tragically passed away, a loss that profoundly influenced the darker themes of death and grief in the later books. She moved to Portugal to teach English, got married and divorced, and returned to Edinburgh, Scotland, a single mother living on state benefits. She often refers to this period as hitting rock bottom, battling clinical depression, and feeling like a failure. Her writing, often penned in cafes while her baby daughter Jessica slept in a stroller beside her, became her refuge and her unwavering goal. She filled countless notebooks and amassed a mountain of notes, creating intricate timelines, family trees, and hand-drawn maps of her fictional world to ensure absolute consistency across the decades-long saga. When the manuscript for Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone was finally complete in 1995, the real battle began, the battle for belief. The book was rejected by an astonishing 12 different publishers, a fact that now serves as a cautionary tale for the industry. Her agent, Christopher Little, finally found a champion in Bloomsbury Publishing. The eventual decision to publish was made, famously, because the chairman's 8-year-old daughter, Alice Newton, insisted on reading the rest of the chapters after seeing the first one. Even with the contract signed, the publisher was nervous. Fearing that young boys, the target demographic, would not want to read a fantasy book written by a woman, they insisted she adopt a more gender-neutral pen name. Joanne adopted J.K. Rowling, using her grandmother Kathleen's name for the K, since she didn't have a middle name. This small concession was a nod to the market's bias, but it didn't diminish the power of the story. The book was published in the UK in June 1997 with a tiny initial print run of just 500 copies. A year later, the American rights were sold to Scholastic for an unprecedented $105,000, a record for an unknown children's author. The title was changed to Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, a change Rowling later expressed regret over, but the book's success was immediate and overwhelming, laying the foundation for a global literary event. The extraordinary success of Harry Potter isn't just about magic, it's about meticulous planning. Rowling had the entire 7-book arc planned out for 5 years before the first one was published. Her central, genius vision was to have the books mature with the reader and with Harry himself. The early books, such as Philosopher's Stone and Chamber of Secrets, are lighter, cozy, and focused on mystery, while the later volumes, beginning around Goblet of Fire, darken dramatically, exploring adult themes of loss, political corruption. morality, love, and death. This deep planning allowed for astonishing narrative consistency and powerful foreshadowing. Key plot elements, characters, and objects, such as Nicholas Flamel, the Mirror of Ariste, and even subtle details about the protection of the Philosopher's Stone, were seeded early on and paid off dramatically years later. For example, the obstacles protecting the stone in the first book, Fluffy, Devil's Snare, and the Flying Keys, often mirrored the major themes or characters of the following books. Rowling wasn't writing a series of isolated stories. She was building a deep, coherent wizarding world with complex rules, history, and politics that made millions of young readers feel like true insiders. By 1999, the books were an undeniable phenomenon, and Hollywood came calling. Warner Brothers Pictures secured the film rights for the first 4 books for a reported £1 million. The deal was historic, not just for the money, but for the unprecedented creative control J.K. Rowling maintained. Rowling made 2 core, non-negotiable demands that shaped the entire 8-film series. First, the cast had to be kept strictly British and Irish to preserve the cultural authenticity of the story. Second, and most crucially, she would only sell the rights to the books, not the characters. This brilliant move prevented the studio from creating new, non-author written sequels or spin-offs outside of her control, ensuring the absolute integrity of the core narrative. Producer David Heyman was instrumental, and after an exhaustive global search, 3 virtually unknown British children were cast: Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, and Rupert Grint, who grew up on screen as Harry, Hermione, and Ron. Filming began in 2000 at Leaves' Den Studios, which Warner Brothers later purchased, turning it into a permanent production hub. The first film, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, premiered in 2001 and was an immediate global box office success, grossing nearly $1 billion worldwide. The series became a 10-year production effort, culminating in the 2-part finale, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, which grossed a total of $7.7 billion and cemented the films as a foundational piece of 21st century popular culture. The final book, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, was published in 2007, and the final film was released in 2011. However, the story of the wizarding world did not end. It transformed into a massive, enduring, multi-platform franchise that continues to expand. Rowling continued to evolve the universe through various media, solidifying the franchise's place in popular culture. This expansion includes the highly successful prequel film series, Fantastic Beasts, which explores the adventures of Newt Scamander in the 1920s and 30s, chronicling the global conflict with the dark wizard Grindelwald. Beyond the screen, the story moved to the stage with the long-running hit play, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, and to the physical realm with fully immersive theme park experiences like Universal's Wizarding World. Most recently, the video game Hogwarts Legacy allowed millions of fans to live their own student life at the famous school, further proving the enduring appeal of the magical setting. From a moment of inspiration on a crowded train to a $25 billion global franchise, the creation story of Harry Potter is a powerful testament to the power of a single, well-told idea and the author's persistence. J.K. Rowling's refusal to give up after a dozen rejections, her careful planning of the 7-book epic, and her insistence on protecting the creative vision. All of these decisions laid the foundation for an undeniable cultural force that will continue to evolve, inspire, and captivate readers and viewers for generations to come. The magic is still unfolding,